How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Not too bad. Thanks for making the time. How's your pandemic?
How's your pandemic? How's your quarantine going? It's basically it's a Zoom life. Everything is Zoom, and it's you realize, right? We're doing it now. You go like, it's doable,
Yeah.
absolutely doable. Everybody's doing it because they don't have a choice. But I miss being in the room with the peeps. I
Who's the
miss
Yeah.
the people, just the energy and the connection, and I miss hugging people. And yeah, I think we're all going through that, and a lot are going through a lot worse.
It is a film that is simultaneously about the transformative power of solitude and the necessity of human connection. And if that doesn't make it a perfect film for this pandemic, I don't know what does. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it's so interesting that we were able to get accepted to Sundance Film Festival, and that Sundance Film Festival happened in January, where this story was so timely. It's just, this is what I think is what people want to hear because it's so empowering in the end. Yes, it's about grief and loss and how one person experiences it and chooses to erase herself and go live off the grid. Um, is it a forced suicide, or is it truly to try to survive? You don't know. She doesn't know. And I think that is resonating with people about, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? How do we find our way through adversity? Well, human connection and kindness. And I just loved the idea of sending that message out right now after all the tragedy that people have experienced the last years, and loss and grief. Um, and really, this year, like, all of a sudden, we were in post production in this movie, like in the middle of editing, and the pandemic hit. So this movie should have been out a year ago,
I thought I wanted to be by myself more often until this pandemic.
right?
You know?
Yes. And you say to yourself, I need to go be alone more, separate myself, go Zen and meditate. You need it. Well, this is an extreme version of that. Wow, nothing like being in the same room all day long looking at a computer screen.
I want to play a clip from the film. This is your character, Edie, talking to Alawa, who's a nurse who helps save Edie's life when she's in the wilderness.
You know, we've been polite enough not to ask you all the questions one might want to ask if they found someone like you. No phone. One might begin to wonder how she came to be in this place. Might wonder if she's hiding from someone.
I understand your curiosity. I'm not running from anyone. I'm not hiding. I'm not a criminal. I'm here because I choose to be.
Edie spends a lot of the film in solitude, deep in the wilderness. And that means for you as an actor, you spend a lot of time on screen by yourself with not a lot of dialogue. As an actor, what do you find appealing about that?
The quiet of this film um, is very important because this character is literally making a conscious decision to leave noise behind. And that could be a metaphor for the noise that goes on in your head. And when you are up there, like we were living the movie we were shooting. Our cinematographer slept in Edie's cabin much of the 29 days that we shot on that mountain. We were 8,000 feet up in Alberta, Canada, dealing with all of the unpredictable weather patterns that it delivers. And he said, I need to sleep up here if I'm going to capture this on screen, because it is a character in the movie. So being alone and shooting up there and sleeping up there, which the producer and I slept in our trailers, to wake up in that quiet, to go to sleep in that quiet. You are literally listening to the elements and the animals, the other characters that Edie ends up communing with once she finds peace. You know, it's almost like she's fighting it in the beginning, just barreling through, get through the tasks, get through the mundane to survive, and nature kicks her butt. And then she learns how to be at one with nature. And we kind of traveled that journey as we were shooting it with her, all of us.
As an actor, then maybe I mischaracterize it in saying you're often by yourself, but are your other actors also the elements?
They are the saviors. You know, Miguel was always described as a saint. He is Edie's saint. And really, it's, you know, the elements that we're talking about metaphorically in this movie is that we need each other. Human beings need each other. We need human connection. We go a little bit nutso without it. And especially now, after this year, how we miss it. You just said, you know, it's like, I thought I wanted to spend more time alone.
Yeah.
We need it. It's our fuel, our medicine, and our therapy.
Tell me more about what you went through up there. Like, it must have been transformative. And I think I read something that you ran into a bear up there.
We ran into a bear. We did.
Is that true?
Yes, of course. It was still in the warm part of September up in Alberta. Beautiful country up there. Wow, just stunning. And that bear caught wind of the craft service table that had some hamburgers on it. And then he came back every day after that, expecting another hamburger. So we had to have a bear whisperer on set at all times. He actually slept up at base camp with the producer and I when we slept in our trailers, just to protect us with his little, you know, those instruments that they blow and make crazy sounds to alert the animal. Please do not come near. Thank you very much.
Clarinet. It's clarinet. I don't know if you know the term, but here it's called a clarinet. Were you scared?
I was really scared one night because I did hear an animal. I don't know what it was. And then I heard and felt the pounding on my trailer, and the trailer was rocking, and the Chinook winds were so intense. And I just thought, okay, if the trailer goes over and the window breaks, then the bear gets in. And then how do we finish the movie? I hope they have somebody to recast, you know. I was thinking about that.
That's a solid director move right there. You know what? If the bear eats me, I hope because we got to get this thing done.
You got to finish. You got to have a backup. Yeah.
I heard you directed this film, or that one of the reasons you decided to direct this film had to do with online bullying. Can you tell me more about that?
That particular term was one of many that we were all experiencing about 3 years ago, when it was really amping up, and you know, with the administration here in America, just the amplification of advocacy for meanness, just being cruel, Twitter, Facebook, you know, all that encouragement to be mean. And I just loved this movie's message. This is about the antithesis. It's about being kind and the beautiful side of humanity and how we do help each other. And you don't have to know one another to help one another. You can be from two totally different cultures and have this incredible bond without speaking monologues of dialogue to one another in a film. You know, it's energy. I connected with that person. That person was in my path, as he says to her. And I think that's a beautiful reminder for people, this movie, and to come out of it feeling hopeful, and that, yes, I've got human resilience, and we can all have human resilience and with the help of other people is generally why we get through things.
It sounds like you've been changed through making this movie, Robin.
I mean, living up there, being with nature is very healing. It's a no-brainer when you come down off that mountain in Alberta, and we would drive into Calgary on the weekends, and I was like, I want to go back home. I want to go back home.
Interesting, eh?
Where are you located? What?
St. John's, Newfoundland, so far away from Alberta.
Oh, wow. Beautiful up there, though.
Gorgeous, though, yeah. And similarly, sort of, you can have moments of getting far away from everything.
Right.
Yeah. Alberta's lovely,
Lucky
though.
you.
I like it.
It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. That Banff, right? That's a couple hours more north. Stunning.
This is all just me getting the ratings up in Calgary. That's all I'm doing right now. We're talking to you. That's all I'm doing.
What's happening?
This is the most bald-faced thing I've ever done in my life. Yeah, pretty good out there. Hey, with the CBC, that's a good crowd out there.
Good. Keep listing the names. The Calgary Film Commission. Not kidding. We had an incredible crew.
You are helping me out a lot. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Q. I'm speaking with the award-winning actor and director Robin Wright. Robin has a new film called Land, which she directed and stars in. But you might also know Robin Wright from this.
Just to be clear, it's not that I haven't always known you were there. It's that I have mixed feelings about you. I question your intentions. And I'm ambivalent about attention. But don't take it personally. It's how I feel about most everybody.
That's you playing Claire Underwood in the wildly popular Netflix series House of Cards. Breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience. And you won a Golden Globe for that role, and you also directed numerous episodes. And I just remembered that this was Netflix's first original series. There are so many original series on Netflix now, but back then it was the thing that had like The Office and Arrested Development on it, and we heard that they were going to make their own show. Did you have any sense that it would work? Did you have any sense that the show would be that big as it got?
No, not even remotely. I trusted David Fincher. So I knew it was going to be revolutionary on some level. I had no idea the degree to which. But think about it. It's such a great concept. And so basic. Hey, the consumer is paying for the product. They should be able to watch it whenever and however they want. Yeah, good idea. Let's go for that. It's called streaming. I remember laughing with David Fincher, and I said, "So what happens if people get nominated for an award? It's called a streamer."
Ah.
Woo! And so you dress up and instead of getting the award, you just have streamers.
But now it's the thing. Now it's mainstream. Like now it's the future of television. You were really at the ground floor of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to ask this, and to be honest, I've been sort of struggling all day with how to ask it. But in the last season, your character Claire takes office as the first female president of the U.S. That's a very challenging role, anyway. And I want to be really careful here to not give airtime to people I don't want to give airtime to. But at the time when you took on that role of president of the United States, your co-star Kevin Spacey was there were allegations of sexual misconduct and assault. He was fired from the show. I think what I want to know is you still had to act in the midst of all that. You still had to show up to work and do a very hard job for an actor. How did you do it?
When you're on, how long you been on this show?
5 years.
Yeah. So you have a family there. And you don't want to let that family down. And there's also the family of fans of that show that had followed it for 5 seasons. You can't just unload them at a bus stop and say, "See ya, we're deciding to depart early." And the climate was very wicked. at that time of decision making on Netflix's part and MRC, who basically owned the show. And they had to deliberate for a couple of months. What is the right thing to do? And then we collectively decided these people need to keep their jobs that have been on this show for 5 seasons. And that's not their fault. What happened? Why should they not be able to pay their child's tuition at college or their rent? And we needed to finish off for that reason, just to give security to the working folk who had put so much time and energy, and so many crew members lived out of state. So they were away from their families for 7 months out of the year, some of them. That kind of commitment, you gotta keep those people employed and give the fans what they signed up for.
Must have been some hard, though, as an artist to act like that.
After 5 years of Tom Power at a microphone, you kind of know that character, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like the back of your hand.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's a job. You show up, you put on the Spanx and a tight dress and Louboutins, and there's the character. It's that kind of thing.
That's what I do too. After you won a Golden Globe for House of Cards in 2014, you said something interesting. You said backstage that you felt like a late bloomer. You, as a late bloomer, you've been acting since you were a teenager. What did you mean by that?
It took me a long time to not be afraid. And maybe that is the equivalent of when you finally reach that point in your path of life where you're like, I can fail. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. And instead of having the fear of success or the fear of not being perfect, you just do it. Just get out there and do it. And I felt like that came very late in my life. How do
you get that?
I think just experience and just getting old, because I'm old now. It's like it was about time.
But you know what I mean? A lot of people go their whole careers.
Yeah,
and never get there,
That's true. But I got very lucky. I was very blessed with being over, 45 years of age and getting the role of Claire Underwood on House of Cards. And knowing that we were going to develop together, writers, showrunner, David Fincher, with me included, we were going to get to develop this character over time as we saw what the administration was doing. So we had advisors constantly on the phone with the writers, informing them, this could happen, or this could happen, or this could happen. Okay, well, let me give you another lunacy idea. Could this happen? Yes, absolutely, that could happen. These were the conversations we were having on a monthly basis to write each episode.
You've been generous, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, so maybe I'll close off like this. And this is perhaps even just to address the people who are screaming at the radio right now that I'm not asking you about Forrest Gump or I'm not asking you about The Princess Bride. But these are pretty iconic roles, Robin. Even one of them for a career. Jenny in Forrest Gump, Princess Buttercup in Princess Bride, of course, Claire on House of Cards. And I got to talk to your co-star on The Princess Bride, Mandy Patinkin, a little while ago. I said, how do you feel about the Inigo Montoya thing? How do you feel about the, you kill my father, prepare to die? How do you feel about, he said, oh yeah, people coming up to me in the airport and telling me stories, and all this kind of thing. And he said, I'm so grateful for it, because if it wasn't for that, I don't know what I certainly wouldn't be here in Toronto talking to you. So 2 questions. And the first question is, how do you feel when you're still recognized from these roles from so long ago by fans?
It's the same as Mandy felt. You feel so honored to be a part of iconic film. I mean, those are 2 great original pieces of content. And not overly sentimental with Forrest Gump, which it could have gone down that road, You feel honored to have been a part of it. And you love it when anybody, and it can be any age. I've had every age, from 3-year-old boys to, 97-year-old men come up and they just say, as you wish. It's the sweetest thing that it doesn't have a demographic. There aren't any barriers with who likes that film, who connects with that film. It kind of runs the gamut, right?
So what's the most common one? When you're at the airport, back in the day when you could go to the airport, what are people yelling out to you? Is it Jenny? Is it Buttercup? Is it Claire? What are they calling out to you?
It's kind of all of them, but if I'm running because I'm late for a flight, it's run, Forrest, run, of course.
Oh, God, right.
But I'm pumped.
Hey, lovely to meet you.
You too.
Congrats on the
Thank you
film.
for having me. Thanks.